it can be a gift to be not wanted by women. Why is that? How is that possible? A lot of young guys, this is kind of the biggest fear. It's like, wow, I'm not wanted. And then they really go into a spiral. I don't know if you have. I think most men have. It's kind of it doesn't mean a permanent thing, but I mean, you felt that way at some point. Like, oh my gosh, nobody wants me. There's no, hope. And we really can get crushed. But in reality, being unwanted by a certain group at any time in your life can be a gift. And it's often in the long run that it's a gift. So for example, my grandfather was not wanted by the military, so he didn't go to World War II. So he didn't die, right? So I'm here, right? So sometimes I remember, like, when I was younger, I interviewed for a job at Sears, and Sears is if you guys are younger, it's a now defunct retail company. And I came back from a trip and I thought, I gotta get a job. I gotta get a serious job. And I had my business, my bachelor's, and I was like, in business, I'm like, I gotta get a job. Fuck it, do something, right? And I was trying to kind of settle back in the U.S. So I interviewed at Sears, and I thought it was going to be, some kind of sales interview or promotion or, something like that, right? Obviously, the company wasn't good at that kind of stuff. And the test actually was perfect. They gave me a math test, and it was calculus. And it was me and one other guy. And the other guy, I could see he was good at calculus. And he was jamming through the test and, working out all the answers. And I literally didn't know. Like, I just didn't know anything in the test. And at the end, the guy looked at me very, what do you call it? It might have been partly my own esteem, but it really seemed like he looked down on me. I mean, because I didn't know anything. And because I didn't even know that was what the test was going to be. I had no idea what the interview was going to be like. I thought, hey, I do retail now. I sell stereos. I'm fucking number one. I'll kick ass at Sears. I'll turn them around. Because I knew the sales were going down. But this motherfucker, he did not care. He just wanted a math guy, a numbers guy. And so anyway, I felt very rejected by him, And looking back, not working at Sears was one of the best things because A, the company went bankrupt, but B, there was nothing to learn there. I mean, everything they did was past its prime. It had been a great company, but that time was not. It was over, and I would have just been wasting time with idiots. And instead, I was forced to not do that. Another example, again, in the moment, you're going to feel like it's a terrible tragedy. Was when I went to Japan. I went to Japan, and I went as an individual, not with a corporation. And, I started going to meetings and AA meetings, and I would go and I'd meet people, and there was tons of guys who were corporate guys, and they all had like expat houses, which means, beautiful house, a car and a driver back then. One guy had like a spiral staircase in his house. He had, I remember he had a Jaguar 12-cylinder. He had golf clubs with his name signed on him. He, they had like dogs they could afford. Having a dog in Japan was crazy expensive back in the bubble. I mean, we're talking insane money. And just madness. And I was very jealous. I was very, very, for many, many years. You guys, these feelings can go on. It's not like 1 minute. I'm trying to give you the kind of overview so you don't have to go through it. Because for years I wanted to be an expat. I was jealous of expats. I was. Then my best friend, Drinking Dave, was an expat. My buddy Tim was an expat. My brother-in-law came over as an expat. A lot of my friends were expats. And they were always in beautiful houses with good heat and central heating. And Japan didn't even have that in a regular Japanese house. So I was forced to do it on my own. And when I tried to get a job, I realized that it's not really important, but just so you can understand the background, the corporations, they didn't want anybody new in Japan, even if you spoke Japanese. The way the corporations overseas think is they want somebody who's like proven themselves in their corporation back home, has friends that they can call has a connection. You know what I mean? They understand the culture of the company. And then they go to Japan. If they don't know the language, I think it's the wrong thinking. I think they're wrong, actually. And the companies that have not done this have been proven right. I think it's a mix. You need a couple guys like that, but mainly you need people who are localized, who know the language, who know the culture. And many, many great tragedies can be prevented. But anyway, not everybody's an internationalization expert. I happen to be. So I was not wanted. And it really pissed me off because my Japanese was great. And I was like, this sucks. Like, these fucking idiots. I'd meet them. And honestly, I was jealous of them. But at the same time, I could also see that they didn't have any kind of understanding of Japan. And they would do dumb things. Like, they would do a partnership with a Japanese company that was 6 months from going bankrupt. And of course, nobody knows these things for sure. But I had been watching, reading the tea leaves for years on those companies. And I told them, I said, that place is not sound. You shouldn't partner with them. And they'd be like, well, we did the numbers, we did this, we're going to partner. And then they would partner with them, and that would cause them to fail in Japan. So it was easy to fail in Japan. So I was like, I hate seeing tragedies that can be prevented. So I was like, this is so dumb. And at the same time, I was jealous. So it was mixed feelings. It wasn't sour grapes. I actually could see that they were doing the wrong thing. And I'm like, man, why don't they listen? Why don't they hire people that know, local things? Like, fuck, that's so dumb. Anyway, they learned the hard way, corporations. And eventually they figured it out, But just, sometimes there's some bloodshed in the meantime. But anyway, for me, I was, my feelings, I was like, I wanted to be an expat, and I even thought about going back to the U.S., trying to get into Ivy League school because my foreign language is good. So they were letting people in at the time, the Harvards, the Whartons, those kind of places. And I was going to Stanford. I was thinking, well, go back, get an MBA, and then I'll get a corporation job with, basically to focus on going overseas. And I thought, well, that would be good. But then I just thought, there's no freedom in that. So I didn't do it. When I finally had the chance, here's the funny thing. I was jealous for years. But when I finally heard straight up, you can get into Harvard or Wharton, no problem, with your Chinese and Japanese, I was like, I don't want it. Which is weird, right? Because all those years, I wanted it so fucking bad. But when I finally got there, I didn't want it anymore. And looking back, the reason is because times had changed. I had grown up. And I had seen that because I was not accepted by the corporations and the expats, I had developed unique skills that were very valuable. It's not the most valuable skills in the world, but you only need a bag of tricks. You need a valuable bag of tricks in your fucking money, right? I had my tricks. I had my skills, and I thought, I don't want to be working with a bunch of fucking SJWs in a corporation. There's good to it. There's good sides to it. Don't get me wrong. I understand. The salaries are huge. Stock options. I mean, there's good sides. You get big budgets. You can do things that are bigger. I understand all that. But all said and done, after not being wanted, I was forced. That's the key thing. And begrudgingly, I didn't want to. You think Ronin had perfect discipline? No, I was like, fuck, I want to work. I want to be an expat. These guys got it made because the girls, they love those expat houses, I mean, but which is funny because I fuck more girls than any of those guys. But anyway, I thought I could ramp it up with that house. But you know what? Looking back, I think I did better doing the hood, the fucking hood guy. I lived in a fucking hood place, big time. No shower. The only thing you could do in my house was fuck or eat and sleep. That was all you could do. There was no heating. There was just like a fucking heater I got out of the garbage, and a kitchen. That was it. And we had to go to the gym or a coin shower to take a shower. And that worked out perfect because what I realized about seduction is you don't want to have choices in your house. I talked about it in the IKEA episode. Your house has to have 3 purposes, right? Simple. Boom, boom, boom. Go back and watch that IKEA Mangina Disco Clutter Home to get an idea. So the thing is, guys, here's the thing. You think you want to be wanted by women so bad, right? I'm talking to the 85% of guys. And I'm also talking to the top 15 too, because we all have these desires at different times in our lives. We're not like robots born a certain, it's not our DNA. We earn it. It's like we go through stages. We all understand not being wanted, right? And not being wanted. I remember Mick Jagger was very jealous of, who was it? I forgot. It was some actor like Warren Beatty or something, because, you can't get everything, and there was a picture of him like looking really butthurt and Warren Beatty with like all these chicks around him, right? So everybody can relate. But the thing is, guys, here's the thing, is the benefit to not being wanted. It might be painful, okay? It will be painful. It is painful, okay? But it could ultimately be to your benefit because the window to get married is very short. Women, basically the window is from like, let's say 20, realistically today, in today's day and age, the very earliest is going to be 22, right? The very earliest. And then by the time they're 29, they don't have nearly as much power, right? Over you, because of your testosterone levels, okay? I'm just talking to you as men. You will have more choice. Once they're 29, your testosterone will still be high, but it's going down. Okay, it is going down pretty fast, actually. And you'll look at them and you will see they're not that hot. And that will give you that moment of self-control if you take it. Because if they're 22, it's really hard. It is fucking hard. It's because they're just so attractive to you with high testosterone still. But when they're 29, you can pass. You're like, okay, yeah, I can see. And the thing is, you just need to, again, this is like kind of your last, I'm describing the stages of how not to get married. This is like the last stages. And then up to like, say, 35, 36, it's over. You've made it. And once you're that age, once the girls that you would date were 36, it's over. You're free. And you can be a happy, free man. And date all the chicks you want. You can date 22-year-olds. You know what I mean? You can do whatever you want. And you will eventually be happy that they didn't want you. Because you'll never be happy about the pain you went through, okay? The pain is real. You'll always remember it. You'll always have kind of a feeling of, fuck, that sucked. But eventually the long-term wisdom will come through, and you'll look at your friends that are married. You'll go to restaurants and look at married couples just with this woman sternly looking at him and berating him from carrying the shopping bags in the mall. And you'll see beaten down men all around you. And you'll see guys having heart attacks young and, just all kinds of stuff. And you'll realize, and you'll look in the mirror and you look in your bank account and you'll look at your friends and you look at your amount of travel. You look at your body fat. You look at how much time you spend sleeping. You look at your diet. You look at the way you're taking care of yourself. And you look at your energy levels. And you say, you know what? I fucking did the right thing. I fucking won. It's always a battle. It's never easy. That's what I'm saying. It's never going to be easy. But the light at the end of the tunnel is it's a trap for those other guys. And you're avoiding that trap. And that's a beautiful thing. And you end up being a successful, strong, single guy. And now keep in mind, society will never reward you for this. And I want you to, my final point, I want you to use that for motivation. Because the point is this. Society will reward you for doing things that are good for women in general. At times they'll do it for society, like if you go and die in war. That's for society. But for women, most of the things, if you get married, you will get respect. You will. You'll get more respect. Now, is it good for you? No. But will it, personally? No. Not on an individual basis. But you do get the fool's gold of people thinking you're a better guy. You're more trustworthy. You are this, you're that. Certain employers will look a certain way at you, okay? And you'll also be invited to some businessmen meetings that you wouldn't be. But at the end of the day, as I said with Sears, those things are, I believe, this is my opinion, they're traps. Is because your own inner Your skill set that you're going to develop through not being accepted by the easy way. Okay, let's just call it the easy way. It forces you to really fucking man up. It's like working out hard without steroids. It's like you do it the hard way. And you're jealous of guys who get it the easy way. But in the long run, you win. And you're like, and the confidence that comes, you guys, it's unbelievable because it's not fake. It's real. You're never Superman, okay? You're never perfect, but you will have a confidence, like a deep confidence, walking around, holding your head up high, knowing you're a fucking man. And that is the goal in the end.